from cover to cover.
There will be time at committee stage for this. Senator Moran, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Lasky Early, and thank you, Minister, for coming into the House again. Just to take up briefly a point there by Senator O'Donnell, I think when he said where is on the termination, the point is that it's early delivery, and you know that's it. I myself had a child at 28 weeks who lived. Born 22 years ago, when much against the odds, and you know it does happen, and it's early delivery, and that's what's ensured. But anyway, I would just prefer to deliver my own speech. This bill before the House is 21 years late coming here. The bill, as it stands at present, is unclear and uncertain, and this bill will bring clarity to the situation, clarity to mothers who are pregnant, and clarity to the country. I have thought long and hard about this bill. I have wrestled with my conscience. I have looked at the pros and cons. I have consulted people with many different opinions. And I would like to think that I have respected both sides of the argument for and against, and respect everybody's decision. I think we've had a very clear debate here both yesterday evening and again here today, and I'm only sorry that the media didn't pick up on the excellent debate that we had in this House yesterday, rather than a 30-second jostle. As legislators, we have been given a duty to vote on the bill, a decision that many in this House and in the lower house have deliberated on long and hard. I have approached my decision as a legislator, as a woman, as a mother of 5 and a mother of 3 daughters. And I would just like to put it on the record here and now that if it was, when I look at it as a mother, if it was one of my children, if it was somebody that I knew, if it was a pupil that I had taught in many years down through the school who came to me with absolutely distraught with this, I would do absolutely everything I could to support them in their decision, whatever that might be. At the outset, I would like to say that I doubt if there's anybody in the House, in either House, who doesn't support life. We all support life. This is an extremely sensitive debate for many, with many difficult decisions for some. The first thing that I'd like to specify is that this bill will not change anything in the law, and I think sometimes that point has been lost. This is not going to change anything. It is doing exactly what it says. It's legislating for a decision that was made by the Supreme Court 21 years ago, which has been kicked down the road by successive governments. The bill recognises that we need to take our heads out of the sand. We need to deal with the issue that abortion does happen. This bill won't change the fact that 4,000 people leave the country every year for abortion. It's not going to change the fact that people will continue to seek abortion in the UK or in other countries. But what it will do is protect the life of the mother in a medical emergency or at the risk of suicide. I don't believe, as some have argued, that it will open the floodgates for abortion in this country. We had the same thing and the same when divorce, at the divorce referendum, and it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, I think that the procedures that a woman will have to go through as a result of this legislation being passed, if she is suicidal, will be a lot more rigorous than going to England. Indeed, I found some of the comments about the suicide clause to be particularly offensive. We all profess to take the issue of suicide and depression as a serious subject when we want to. But I think some of the comments that have been made in debates, both publicly and in the House, have shown a clear lack of understanding in the whole area of mental health, and quite simply insulting to women, to imply that they would claim to be suicidal in order to get a termination. This is seriously denigrating the whole area of mental health, in my opinion, and implies that suicide is not a serious health issue. It's taking a backward step in the progress that has been made in recent years in the area of mental health. Suicide is a very serious medical condition and is every bit as real as any physical symptom, and sometimes even more. It can be the hidden illness, the hidden thing. And often, and I must say, I have known people myself who would appear to be the life and soul of the party, who are always in great form, and even in the last year have known somebody that was described as being out and vivacious and full of life, and yet who committed suicide in the small hours of the morning when they were on their own. So we don't know what goes on in people's minds. We don't know how other people think. We don't know, and nor do I think that we should judge. I would just like to refer to a case that I came across while doing some research for this debate, and a case that perhaps was little unknown, where 3 weeks before the tragic death of Savita Halabanarvar, a lady who was 38 weeks pregnant in our country, unfortunately, while pregnant with twins, took her own life 2 weeks before she was due to deliver these babies. Now, who can say that suicide isn't a tendency, or who can say that suicide isn't linked with this? If we had this legislation in place, we could perhaps have saved 3 lives instead of a father losing his wife and two children, and other siblings at home losing their mother and siblings. So we have to look. This bill will protect the rights of women. It will give women the peace of mind, if you like, to know that they are safe and that they will be looked after. If I could, yesterday comments were made in the House criticising members for referring to religious comments and comments by religious orders during the debate and prior to the debate. And I would just like to say that I believe that certain members of the church have been very vocal in their condemnation on this bill and have willingly entered the debate and have willingly condemned, if you like, Oireachtas members. And indeed, just last Sunday, and I say this as somebody, as I've said before, not you know, as a practicing Catholic who has gone to listen to both sides, and again to be subjected to words like, let us pray for those who trample on the life. I certainly will be supporting this bill. I certainly would never trample on anybody's life, nor do I like being referred to. Nor do I like being told, well, these people who support the bill will answer for it in the next life. Or, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. I just find these words absolutely offensive and have nothing to do with the debate. The veiled threats of excommunication if one votes in favour of the bill is something that I really find hard to understand. The church says that every life is sacred, and I agree with that, but what about the children who were abused and had their innocence robbed by members of the clergy, and worse still, were covered up by other members of the clergy? This is, in my view, completely hypocritical. I would also like to comment on the actions of some of the people who claim to be pro-life. Last week we had many people outside the gates from both sides. And while I welcome the comments, I welcome the views of people of both sides, I have read all the letters, I have read all the postcards, I have taken them all into deliberation. I must say that I found the videos of dead fetuses to be sent, and indeed the posters that have been up all around the country implying that the bill was going to open the floodgates for abortion are very offensive and very untrue, and as a matter of fact scaring people, and sometimes scaring the very innocent children, some of whom were outside the gates very late last week, very late at night, with these posters. You know, I think this is just nothing short of scaremongering. This bill will protect women. It will give women the right not to be afraid while pregnant. We need to move on and face the facts that women do seek abortion. It won't open the floodgates, as I've said, but will protect the woman whose life is in danger, physically or mentally. A reference has been made already to the long history of treating women as second-class citizens in this country. We had the times when women were forced to give up work because they got married. We have the Magdalens, the symphysiotomy, contraception, divorce. I remember my mother telling me when I was a child how she needed to be churched by a priest every time she had a baby before she was allowed to receive communion again, as if having a baby was a sin. Similarly, as I have met many women who were subjected to the barbaric act of symphysiotomy and pubiotomy, and I'm grateful that we have come a long way since then. I've not made my decision lightly. I have thought long and hard, and as I've said at the outset, consulted many people of every different side. But I do think that this is a decision that must be made by women. We need to protect women, we need to protect life, and this will certainly give the lives of women the opportunity to be protected.
Thank you, Senator. Senator